Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to another day of kindergarten with Mrs. R. So today we're going to learn a new letter, and we're going to do a little bit of work in our kindergarten binder and some writing this morning. So I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're ready to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to talk about our new letter that we're going to learn today. Okay? So today's new letter is the letter Z. And does anybody know what Z says? Zzz, as in zipper. It makes that zzz sound. Z says zzz. So let's take a look at some things that make the zzz sound, like the word zoo. You can see the Z at the beginning, zoo. Zebra. Zigzag, which is lines that go up and down like that. Zeppelin, which is a giant hot air balloon. And scoot these over. Zucchini, which some of you that have gardens probably grew a lot of those this year. Zip, which is when you use your zipper, you zip it up. Of course, zipper. And the number 0. Okay, and I'm sure you can think of other words that have the Z sound in them as well, but those are just a few that I know of. Okay, so today you are going to need your kindergarten binder that looks like this. So go ahead and grab that now because you're going to need that. And you're also going to need a dry erase marker and your eraser, okay, because we're going to be working in our binder this morning first. So go ahead and get those things out, and you're going to turn to the handwriting page like we always do when we start our morning. We do a warm-up with our handwriting and practice writing our name. So hopefully most of you are to the point now that you can write your name without your name tag, but if you still need it, that's okay too. So let's go ahead and practice writing our name 4 times, 1 on each line, and doing it in our very, very best handwriting, okay? So here we go. Go ahead and write your name in your neatest, best handwriting. You know what Mrs. R always says, that it doesn't need to be perfect because we don't do perfect in kindergarten or any other grade. Being perfect is not possible, but we can do our best. Okay? So that's my expectation, that you always try your very best. Okay. So I'm just going to keep going with our name. And we're going to write it 4 times. And the more you practice writing your name, the better you're going to get at it and the neater it's going to look. All right. So 4 times we've written our name. Okay. So if you are not done yet, go ahead and push pause and then you can catch up. And then you can finish writing your name and push play again when you're ready. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and erase my name. My handy erasing here. Oops, pushed my keyboard there. Okay. Might be time for Mrs. R soon to get a new eraser since not erasing as well. Okay, now we're going to turn to our I Know My Alphabet page section, and you're going to go all the way back until you find the letter Z. Okay. So if you don't have that in your notebook yet, you're going to have to ask your mom or your dad to get that pulled out for you so that you can have that ready to go. Let me turn that off. There's a little bit of a glare on there. All right, so let's go ahead and practice doing our letter Z's. So Z's are pretty easy. They have some straight and diagonal lines, and a diagonal line is a line that goes across like this. So starting at the top line, you're going to go across, down, sideways like that, and across at the bottom. Okay, so across at the top, down, and across, down, and across, down, and across, just like that. And if you mess up, here's the cool thing, guess what? Get out your eraser and just erase it just like that, and you can do it again. So down, across, down, and across. Okay, now here you're going to start the top line, make a line across, down to the bottom, and across. It's not a straight line, it's a diagonal line, which means it goes sideways. Sideways, across, down, and across. And then, so if you are not done with your Z's yet, go ahead and push pause. This is a good time to push pause. All right, so the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get out your Play-Doh because we're going to make our Play-Doh letters. So go ahead and roll out your Play-Doh. We're going to need a whole bunch of worms for this one because that diagonal line is pretty long across the middle there. Okay. So go ahead and roll that out. All right, so I'm going to pinch that off like that. And then that. And then it goes across like this. So these are pretty easy letters, I think. Okay, so we're going to trace. So start at the top like that. And go across, down, whoops, and across. Let's try that again. Across, down, and across. Just like that. So I'm going to erase my Z's. Now, if you're not done, you know what to do. Just push pause. Okay, so I'm going to press like that. And then I'm going to turn to the lowercase z, which the lowercase z is exactly like the capital Z, except that it starts at the middle line. Okay, so you can see how this dotted middle line goes across there. So that's where your first line is going to start. Across, down, across. So you're starting at the middle, going across, going diagonal all the way down to the bottom and across. So same shape and motion, just starting in the middle instead of the top line. Okay. So across, down, across, just like that. Across, down, across, down, across, down, across, and across, down, across. Really interesting letter, the letter Z. Okay, so if you haven't finished your Z's, then go ahead and press pause. I'm going to start rolling out my worms for my letter Z, rolling it with my Play-Doh. So let's go ahead and roll this out. Okay. So here's my little piece for my Z. And right there. And there we go. Okay. So what we do for our Z, capital Z, is the same we do for our lowercase z. We start by going across, down, across. Let's do it again. Trace it with your finger. Across, down, across, just like that. Okay. So if you're not quite done yet, you know what to do, right? Go ahead and push pause. Okay. I'm going to erase my board there. All right. So this week we don't have any sight words. You're just going to review the ones that we've already learned so far. So we're done with our notebook for now. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. And we're going to review some of our sight words that we've had from the past, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my sight word card, and I'm going to say what it is, and then you can repeat after me. Okay, so let's try it. I, and then you would say I. He, and then you would say he. Can, okay, say them after me. No, is, my, a, to, we, see, like, the, you, and, me, so, on, at. Look at all of these words, you guys, that you guys have been working on. There's so many. You have learned so many new words. I'm so proud of you guys for working so hard at home. Okay, so for our next thing that we're going to work on this morning, you are going to need to get your Backpack Bear listening and writing notebook out, or workbook. Okay, so go ahead and get this. And if you don't have this out yet, then go ahead and push pause, and then you're going to need that, and you're going to need your crayons, and you're going to need a pencil and eraser. Okay? All right, so we're going to turn to the Z page, and the Z page is found on page 48, a 4 and an 8. Okay, so this is the letter Z. So we're going to start off by reading our sentences. So this is a zebra, this is the number 0, and this is a zipper. Okay, so we're going to read across and remember our period. The period tells the reader to stop. Okay? So here we go. Let's read the first sentence. Everyone point your finger right here on the letter Z. So get your pointer finger out, and here we go. And let's read it together in a nice big voice. Ready? Here we go. Z is for zebra. Now we're going to put 0 in there. Z is for 0. Z is for zipper. Now let's read them again a little faster. Ready? Go. Z is for zebra. Z is for 0. Z is for zipper. Very good. So I'm going to see if I can find a color. Normally I would not use black, but zebras are black and white. So today I'm going to color my Z black. And we're going to do our really best, to try and stay inside the lines. Okay, I know it's not easy, but I know you can do it. Sometimes you got to roll up your crayon a little bit too. All right. So go ahead and color that one in. Zebras are pretty cool animals. They kind of look like a horse, but they have this beautiful black and white pattern all over their body. So they look a lot like horses, and they're very similar in many ways. So a zebra is black and white, so I'm not going to color the zebra because it really is black and white, but I will color the 0. I'll color it pink. I haven't used pink in a while. Remember when we read the book When the Crayons Fit? All the crayons were complaining about different issues they were having, which was kind of funny. But okay, and then the zipper. Zippers come in lots of colors. I think I'll color the zipper green. They come in lots and lots of different colors. Just depends on what color the fabric it's attached to. Usually it's the same color. Okay, here we go. Shut that door a little bit. Okay, so now it is time for you to get your pencil. We're going to do some writing. So let's go ahead and trace our Z. Remember, you start at the top, go down and across and over. Start at the top, down and across and over. Top, down, across, over. Top, across, down, over. Across, down, over. Across, down, over. Across, down, over. Now the lowercase z, exact same thing, same hand motion, except that we start at the middle line and it's smaller in size. So across, down, over, 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 across, down, over. So there you go. So if you're not done with your Z's yet, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and work on seeing if we can hear the Z sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a word. And if you hear that Z sound in it, give me a thumbs up. If you do not hear that Z sound at the beginning, give me a thumbs down. Okay, here we go. Here's the first word. Zoo. Does zoo have the Z sound at the beginning? Yeah. How about zebra? Does zebra have the Z sound at the beginning? Yeah. How about monkey? Does monkey have the M or the Z sound at the beginning? Does monkey have the Z sound? No, monkey has a M sound. Okay. How about zero? Does zero have the Z sound at the beginning, the Z sound? Yeah. How about buttons? Does the word buttons have the Z sound at the beginning? No. How about zipper? Does zipper have the Z sound at the beginning? Yeah, it does, right? Okay, how about blue? The color blue. Does the word blue have the Z sound in it? No. How about zigzag? Does zigzag have the Z sound at the beginning? Yeah, good job, you guys. Okay, so we can go ahead and put our workbook away if we're all done with that. And then you need to pull out your November journal. So let me go ahead and share that with you so you can see what I'm talking about. I would like you to pull this book out. Okay, go ahead and grab that. And if you don't have that yet, go ahead and push pause and go ahead and grab your November journal. And we're going to do a little bit of writing together. So we've done some writing about Thanksgiving dinner. And I wrote, for Thanksgiving dinner, we have turkey and mashed potatoes. And then we wrote one about family. I am thankful for my family and pets. And then last time we did one about a turkey. A turkey has feathers and a wattle. And in the video we watched this week, we learned about the wattle, which is the flap of skin around their face, isn't it? So we learned about that. So that was probably something you may or may not have known about. So today we're going to write about some Native Americans. Now, sometimes we think that Native Americans all lived in teepees, which is not true. We also think sometimes that all Native Americans wore headbands with feathers, which is also not true. Depending on where the Native Americans lived, they would have different kinds of shelter. So the Plains Indians, they would use a teepee often, but like here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, parts of California where we live, the Native Americans used something called a plank house. Yeah, plank house. So the housing, depending on where you lived in the United States, where the Native American tribes were, they lived in different kinds of houses. So it could have been a teepee, a plank house, a wickiup, wattle and daub, or a vitu. So just depends on what kind of place where they lived in the U.S., and that depends on the kind of housing that they have. So our sentence today says some Native Americans, I'm going to say, lived in a plank house, because that's the kind of house that the Native Americans here in Washington that they lived in. So I'm going to start by drawing a plank house. So it's usually a long house, and then it has an opening to come in and out, an entrance, and they use it for an exit too. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. It looks very similar to the houses that we have today, doesn't it? So let me go ahead and start with a triangle like this. And then I'm going to draw the sides. I'll leave that for the entrance. And then draw this side like this. So it looks like it has planks, which are pieces of wood, come across like this, and then planks or logs that come down like this. And then generally on the inside would be a dirt floor on the inside. So out here would be probably trees. And yeah, so something like this. And then maybe this is where they grew food and things. So they might have probably had some kind of a garden where they grew things. So, okay, there's my plank house. And then of course it was made out of wood. So I'm going to trace this. This in. Now, obviously, you know, I have quite a bit of detail in mine, so yours isn't going to look exactly like mine because each of us are different, and your house might be one of these different ones down here at the bottom. You might have decided to do something a little bit different. You might have decided to do a teepee or, you know, whatever one you wanted to draw about. So this doesn't have to look exactly like mine. In fact, it probably shouldn't look like mine just because your art's going to look different than my art, right? Okay. So, put that in. Inside. Jump forward inside. Okay, and then I'm going to put outside some grass and some tree here. I like to trace my pictures first before I color them in. Just makes them stand out a little bit more. And then maybe these are some things that they're growing in the garden. People have been gardening for growing food for thousands and thousands of years. I'll put some green down here too. Okay. And I think I'm going to add some blue to my sky. Some blue clouds. Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to color the inside walls too, because that's the inside there. Okay. All right. So if you're not done with your picture, that's totally okay. You can push pause until you get finished with your picture. Okay, so I'm going to circle down here too so I remember what word I'm going to use. Plank house. It says all of the words for the different kinds of houses are spelled out for you down here, so you don't need to worry about how to figure out how to spell this. Okay, so I'm going to start by tracing some Native Americans. So at the beginning, we always start with a capital. And now you're going to notice that there's a capital N and a capital A. So sometimes we have special names for things. We capitalize also the first letter of those words. So Native Americans, we're talking about a special group of people. And so they, because they're special, get the first letters of their names capitalized. Okay? Some Native Americans. Now I want to write the word live. So let's sound it out. Oh. L says oh. Oh, I. I says I. Live. V. Live. Okay, so some Native Americans live, and I need a finger space, in. How do I spell the word in? I. There's that I again. I. In. Some Native Americans live in a, that's an easy one, huh? A. Some Native Americans live in a plank house. So I'm going to look at this word plank house right here, and I'm going to put my finger space, and I'm going to write the word plank house. Plank, and I'm copying it right from here. Oops, I'm not going to have enough room to write the second word. So then I'm going to go down on this line down here. Plank house. Some Native Americans live in a plank house. And then what do I need at the end of my sentence? I need a, what's that mark called? Period. Period. Okay. Now, depending on what you decided to write about, you could say some Native Americans live in a teepee. Some Native Americans live in a wickiup. Some Native Americans live in a wattle and daub. Some Native Americans live in a weetube. So it just depends on which kind of a Native American house you wanted to use, okay? So let's go ahead and read my sentence again. Some Native Americans live in a blank house. Now, if you're not done, go ahead and push pause so you can finish your writing. All right, so now that we've got everything done, let's go ahead and do our checklist. Our checklist says, I can use a capital letter. We sure did. We used it several times today. Yep. So let's check that off. Use finger spaces. Remember how we put finger spaces between our words? So we did that. And sound out a word. We sounded out live. We sounded out in, didn't we? Used punctuation in our sentences. We used a period, and there it is. And of course, we drew our picture. All right, very good. I know that writing is hard, and I know that it can be frustrating, but the more we practice, and don't give up, you guys, the more you practice, the easier it's going to get, I promise you. But you can't give up. Sometimes when we learn new things, it's hard, but later on, you're gonna look back and say, oh, Mrs. R, that was so easy. But right now, it might be hard, but I want you just to keep trying and don't give up, okay? Your pictures and your writing don't have to be exactly like mine. Sometimes you might need a little extra help from your mom or your dad, and that's okay. All right, so far we've done quite a few stories. The next time we meet, we're going to talk about Pilgrim Children. So that should be interesting. And we'll watch a little video about Pilgrim Children before we actually do this writing. So that will be good. All right, so let's go ahead and close our book and put that away. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, so I hope you guys had a great morning with Mrs. R. I know I had a fun time with you learning about the letter Z and practicing our sight words and doing some writing today. So I hope you have a great day of learning, and I hope that you have an awesome week. I miss you all, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye, everybody.